Hello, English language learners. Welcome back to the Artificial Fluency Podcast. I'm Emma, and today we're going to talk about something that every English learner wants to master: speaking English with confidence and improving your fluency. If you're tired of hesitating when speaking English or feeling unsure about your fluency, you're in the right place. Before we begin, let me ask you a few questions. Have you ever found yourself searching for the right words when speaking in English? Or maybe you've struggled to express your ideas clearly? How about feeling nervous or shy when talking to someone in English? If you've answered yes to any of these, don't worry. This episode will help you improve your confidence and fluency, and the best part is, by the end of it, you'll feel much more comfortable speaking in real-life situations. In this episode, we'll use some real-life stories and examples to help you understand how to speak more naturally and confidently. Whether it's about meeting new people, giving a presentation at work, or having a conversation with a neighbor, we'll cover situations where you can practice your speaking and writing skills. Listening to these stories will not only help your listening skills, but also give you ideas on how to use what you've learned in your own conversations. So, let's dive into the first story. Imagine you're at a coffee shop and you want to order your favorite drink. It's a simple situation, right? But many people get nervous even about this. I remember the first time I went to a coffee shop in London. I was nervous about speaking to the barista. I wanted to order a latte, but I wasn't sure how to ask for it. I stood there looking at the menu, thinking about the right words. I said, "I'll have a latte, please." But the barista didn't hear me properly. She asked me to repeat myself. This happened a few times, and I started to feel frustrated. But after practicing a few more times, I learned that it wasn't about saying the perfect sentence. It was about being confident and clear. I realized that if I speak slowly and clearly, it's easier for people to understand me, and I'll be more confident. Now, whenever I order a drink, I don't hesitate. I smile and say, "I'll have a large cappuccino with extra foam, please." And the barista always understands me. This brings me to an important point. Confidence is key. Even if you make a mistake, it's okay. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Let's think about how you can practice speaking confidently in different situations. For example, imagine you're talking to a colleague about a work project. Instead of worrying about saying everything perfectly, try to focus on sharing your ideas clearly. If you don't know a word, you can always describe it in other words. That's what I did when I didn't know how to say something in that coffee shop. I didn't give up. I kept trying. Now, I want you to think about a time when you had a conversation in English and felt nervous. What happened? How did you handle it? Were you able to continue speaking, or did you feel stuck? Think about how you can improve next time. Maybe you can prepare a few sentences or phrases to help you. For example, if you're meeting someone for the first time, you can start with, "Hi, my name is your name. It's nice to meet you." Starting with something simple and easy will help you get more comfortable. I also want to share a story about my husband. We were on a trip to Spain, and we had to communicate with the locals, but neither of us spoke Spanish. At first, we felt nervous trying to speak in another language. However, we learned that it wasn't about speaking perfectly. It was about being brave and showing interest in the conversation. Whenever we didn't know a word, we smiled and tried to communicate with gestures or simple phrases. And the locals were always kind and understanding. This experience taught me that the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. At the English Pod community, we're here to help you improve every day. We upload new videos regularly, so make sure you press the like button and subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you'll stay updated with all our lessons to help you speak English with confidence. Now, let's talk about some ways you can practice speaking English every day. You can start by reading out loud. Pick a short story or article and read it aloud to yourself. This will help you improve your pronunciation and fluency. You can also record yourself speaking and listen to it later. This way, you can hear your mistakes and work on improving them. Another great way to practice is by having conversations with others. If you don't have anyone to speak with, you can practice by talking to yourself. Try describing your day or talking about your favorite hobbies. By doing this, you'll feel more confident and ready when the opportunity to speak English with someone else comes along. In addition, try to use the phrases and expressions that you hear in movies or podcasts. For example, if you listen to someone say, "I'm sorry, I didn't catch that," you can use this phrase in your own conversations when you don't understand something. By using these real-life expressions, you'll sound more natural when speaking. Now, I want you to think about your own journey. What is one area where you feel you need to improve your English speaking skills? Is it pronunciation, fluency, or confidence? Whatever it is, remember that it's okay to make mistakes. The most important thing is that you keep practicing and never give up. This episode is just the beginning of your journey to speaking English with confidence. I hope you're feeling motivated to practice and improve your fluency. Keep listening, keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next episode, where we'll dive into more ways to help you become even better at speaking English. Now, I want you to think about a situation where you can practice speaking English confidently. Maybe it's with a colleague, a friend, or even a family member. Take a moment and imagine yourself in that situation. What could you say to make the conversation go smoothly? What are some simple phrases or sentences you could use to express yourself clearly? The more you practice these real-life situations, the more comfortable and confident you'll become. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. We're here to support you at the English Pod community. Keep practicing, and you'll see improvement with every conversation. To start off, I want you to imagine a scenario. Think about a time when you've had to speak English in a situation that made you feel nervous. Maybe it was during a meeting at work or when you were chatting with a neighbor. I remember the first time I had to present a project at my previous job. I was speaking in front of my boss, Sarah, and a few of my coworkers. I knew the material, but I felt nervous because I didn't want to make any mistakes. My hands were sweaty, and I kept thinking about how my English might not sound good enough. But here's the secret that helped me. I decided to focus on what I wanted to say instead of worrying about how perfect my English sounded. I told myself, the most important thing is to communicate my ideas clearly. I started the presentation with a simple introduction, saying, "Good morning, everyone. Today I'll be talking about the new marketing strategy." Even though my voice was shaking a bit at first, as soon as I spoke those words, I felt a sense of relief. I had started, and that's the first step in speaking confidently. Just starting. Once you begin, you gain momentum. I continued with my presentation, and even though I made a couple of mistakes with my grammar, I kept going. I realized that the more I talked, the more comfortable I felt. By the end of the meeting, I had successfully communicated all my ideas, and Sarah, my boss, even praised me for my clear explanations. That experience taught me that confidence comes with practice. The more I spoke, the easier it became. So if you're in a similar situation, just take a deep breath, focus on the message you want to share, and remember that making mistakes is completely normal. The important thing is to keep going. Speaking of making mistakes, let's talk about how you can handle them. Another story I want to share is about my friend Ben. Ben is a lawyer, and he often has to speak English with clients. One day, he had a meeting with a client named Mr. Thompson, and during the meeting, Ben accidentally used the wrong word when discussing a legal document. He said, "This contract is very complex," when he meant to say, This contract is very complicated. It wasn't a huge mistake, but Ben felt embarrassed. Later, he told me about it and I said, Ben, don't worry about it. The key is how you recover from the mistake. The next time he had a meeting, he started by saying, I just want to correct myself from last time. I used the word complex, but I meant to say complicated. Ben felt much better because he took responsibility for the mistake and corrected it right away. This simple action not only helped Ben feel more confident, but it also showed his client that he was professional and clear in his communication. Now think about your own mistakes. How do you feel when you make one while speaking in English? Do you get discouraged or embarrassed? It's normal to feel that way sometimes, but remember, mistakes are part of the learning process. Every time you make one, you have the opportunity to learn from it, and another technique that can help you build confidence is by practicing with a language partner. This is something I recommend to everyone I teach. A few months ago, I had a conversation with a student of mine named Lily. She had been learning English for a while, but she was still shy when speaking. She felt like her pronunciation wasn't good enough, so she avoided speaking English as much as possible. One day, I suggested that she find a language partner to practice with. At first, Lily was nervous. She wasn't sure if she'd be able to keep up with a native speaker, but I encouraged her to give it a try. She found a language partner named Emily through an online platform. They agreed to meet once a week for 30 minutes to have simple conversations. The first time they met, Lily was nervous, but Emily was very kind and patient with her. They talked about their hobbies, and Emily even helped Lily with some new words and phrases. Over time, Lily became more confident. She was able to speak more freely, and her fluency improved. Now, she's not afraid to speak in front of others, and her pronunciation has gotten much better. If you don't have a language partner yet, I encourage you to find one. There are many websites and apps where you can meet people to practice English with. You can also join English-speaking groups or clubs in your community. Having someone to practice with makes a big difference. They can give you feedback, correct your mistakes, and most importantly, encourage you to keep going. Another effective way to improve your speaking confidence is by talking about topics you enjoy. Let's say you love cooking, for example. You can start by learning words and phrases related to cooking. Then find a way to talk about cooking in English. You could try explaining how to make your favorite dish to a friend or family member. Or you could record yourself describing the ideal steps of the recipe in English. This will help you practice speaking naturally about something you're familiar with. I remember when I started practicing my Spanish, I found that talking about food was one of the easiest and most fun ways to practice. I would talk to my Spanish-speaking friends about the dishes I loved to cook, and I learned so much vocabulary just by focusing on a topic I enjoyed. So, think about your own hobbies and interests. What are you passionate about? Try to talk about these things in English. The more you enjoy the conversation, the less nervous you'll feel. Another powerful tip is to learn by teaching others. This might sound surprising, but teaching is one of the best ways to improve your own skills. Let me tell you about a time when I was helping a friend named Daniel with his English. Daniel was struggling with sentence structure, so I suggested that he teach me how to build sentences in English. At first, Daniel was unsure if he could explain it to me, but once we started, he realized that teaching helped him understand the grammar rules better. By explaining things to me, he was reinforcing his own knowledge, and he became more confident in his speaking. You can do the same. If you have a friend or family member who's also learning English, try teaching them what you've learned. Even if they're just starting out, explaining things in your own words will help you understand them more deeply. It's a great way to boost your confidence while helping someone else. I also want to share a tip that I learned from my husband, Mark. He's a very confident speaker, and I once asked him how he became so fluent. He told me that he always tries to put himself in situations where he has to speak English. For example, he joined a local English book club where they discuss books every month. At first, he felt nervous talking to people about the book, but the more he participated, the more confident he became. He said, "The more you expose yourself to real conversations, the better you get at speaking." Think about how you can put yourself in similar situations. Maybe there's a local meetup group or an online forum where you can talk with people in English. Or if you're studying for a specific purpose, such as a business presentation or exam, find opportunities to practice speaking about that topic. The more you practice in real-life situations, the more confident you'll become. And here's one final piece of advice. Practice self-compassion. This means being kind to yourself when things don't go perfectly. If you make a mistake or have trouble expressing yourself, don't be too hard on yourself. Instead, focus on what you did well. Did you say something clearly? Did you learn a new word or phrase? Celebrate those small victories. By focusing on the progress you've made, you'll continue to build your confidence. Remember, speaking English with confidence is a journey, and it's okay if it takes time. The most important thing is that you keep practicing and never give up. Now take a moment to think about your own goals. What do you want to achieve in your English speaking journey? How can you start practicing today? No matter what your goal is, remember that confidence comes with time and practice. The more you speak, the more fluent you'll become, and the more confident you'll feel. Let's continue. We've talked about confidence, practicing with a partner, and the importance of enjoying the topics you speak about in English. But now I want to take a deeper look at some of the habits and techniques that can really help you speak English fluently and confidently over time. It's not just about knowing the right words, but also how you use them and how you prepare yourself to speak without hesitation. One key technique that helped me and that I often recommend to my students is the power of visualization. This technique is very simple but incredibly effective. Let me share a story about a student of mine, Emma. Emma had been studying English for a few years, but she was still shy about speaking, especially in public. She wanted to give a presentation at work, but the thought of speaking English in front of a group made her very nervous. So I suggested she try a visualization exercise. Here's how it works. Emma closed her eyes and imagined herself confidently standing in front of her colleagues, presenting her ideas in perfect English. She pictured herself speaking clearly, answering questions with ease and feeling calm. She did this for a few minutes every day leading up to the presentation. When the day of her presentation came, Emma felt much more relaxed. She wasn't as afraid of making mistakes because in her mind, she had already succeeded. And you know what? She did. Her presentation went great, and she told me later that the visualization exercise really helped her to feel more confident. This is something you can try too. Whenever you feel nervous about speaking in English, whether it's in a meeting, a class, or a social situation, take a few moments to visualize yourself speaking clearly and confidently. Picture yourself using the language naturally, without hesitations. This small mental exercise can make a huge difference in how you feel when it's time to speak for real. Another powerful technique is to record yourself speaking. I know this might feel a bit strange at first, but trust me, it's one of the best ways to track your progress and build your confidence. Let me tell you about my friend Alex. Alex is an English teacher, but when he first started teaching, he wasn't very confident in his speaking skills. He would often get nervous when he had to speak in front of his students. So he started recording himself. He'd talk about any topic he liked, whether it was a summary of a book he read or his thoughts on the weather that day. After recording, he'd listen to his speech and take notes on areas where he could improve, like pronunciation or sentence structure. Over time, he began to hear his own progress. He was able to identify the words he used most frequently, which helped him learn new vocabulary. And just as importantly, he began to notice the things he was doing well. It wasn't about perfection, it was about improvement. This gave him the confidence to speak more freely in class, and now he's one of the most confident speakers I know. If you haven't tried recording yourself yet, I highly recommend it. You can use your phone or any recording device to capture your voice. Afterward, listen to the recording and try to spot any areas where you can improve. Are there any words you're mispronouncing? Is your sentence structure a bit confusing? Don't worry about making mistakes. This is your chance to see your own progress and focus on small improvements. You can even ask a teacher, a friend, or a language partner to give you feedback. To improve your speaking fluency, try exposing yourself to English every day. Listen to podcasts, watch videos, or even read books in English. Don't just focus on formal English. Make sure to listen to informal conversations too. It will help. You pick up the natural rhythm of the language. Another great way to boost your speaking confidence is by attending English-speaking events. If you can, join local meetups or online groups where English is spoken. This might be a book club, a discussion group, or even a casual hangout with other learners. A few months ago, I went to an event with my friend Lily, who was very shy about speaking. It was an informal dinner event with a group of English learners, and at first, Lily didn't feel comfortable joining the conversation. But after a while, she began to speak up. By the end of the evening, she had shared a story about her recent trip to Paris. She was nervous at first, but by the end of the evening, she felt so much more confident in her speaking ability. It was a small step, but it made a big difference for her. You can start by looking for events in your area or even attending virtual events. Look for opportunities to meet other English learners or native speakers who are willing to practice with you. These types of social interactions are a great way to build fluency and confidence. Now let's talk about staying motivated throughout your language learning journey. Learning a language can feel like a long process, but it's important to celebrate your small victories along the way. One student of mine, Rachel, made a rule for herself. Every time she learned 10 new vocabulary words, she treated herself to something special, like her favorite coffee or a small gift. She said that these small rewards helped her stay motivated and excited to keep learning. You don't have to make it complicated. Maybe it's treating yourself to something you enjoy after completing a lesson or finishing a difficult conversation in English. Celebrate your progress, no matter how small it seems. Remember, learning English is a journey, and every step forward is a victory. As we continue on this journey of improving fluency, keep practicing every day. The more you speak, the more confident you'll become. Speak aloud, record yourself, listen to real-world English, and challenge yourself by stepping out of your comfort zone. Confidence doesn't come overnight, but with consistent effort, you'll be able to speak English with confidence and fluency. Now think about your own goals. What will you do today to practice your speaking? How can you challenge yourself to speak more fluently in your daily life? Keep pushing yourself, and remember, every step you take brings you closer to your goal of speaking English with confidence. Let's keep going. Speaking English with confidence and improving your fluency is a process, but with the right mindset and strategies, you can make huge progress. So far, we've covered a lot of techniques, like visualization, recording yourself, speaking out loud, and exposing yourself to real-world English. Now let's take a deeper dive into a few more advanced strategies that can really accelerate your learning and help you sound more confident when speaking. One of the most useful skills to develop as an intermediate English learner is learning how to paraphrase. Sarah adopted this practice in the morning. She would listen carefully to an English podcast while having her coffee. After listening, she would replay short segments and repeat them out loud, trying to match the speaker's rhythm and pronunciation. Over time, she found that her own speaking skills improved, and she started to understand native speakers better. Mindful listening helped her gain more confidence in her ability to both understand and speak English naturally. These are just a few more strategies to improve your English every morning. Whether it's through writing, listening, speaking, or reading, there are countless ways to practice and refine your skills. Keep experimenting with these methods and see which ones work best for you. With consistency, patience, and a bit of creativity, you'll find that English becomes more natural to you. The key is to make learning enjoyable and integrate it into your daily routine. Keep it up, and soon you'll see impressive progress in your English skills. Let's continue to expand on how you can improve your English every morning with even more practical and creative methods that will keep you engaged and motivated to learn. The beauty of learning a language is that there are so many different ways to practice, and integrating them into your daily routine will make learning feel effortless. One of the best methods for improving your English every morning is to practice active listening. Active listening involves focusing on what you hear and fully engaging with the language rather than just letting the sounds wash over you. For example, while listening to an English podcast or audio, pay close attention to the speaker's tone, intonation, and the rhythm of the language. This will not only help you understand spoken English better, but also improve your pronunciation and listening skills. Let's talk about Lily, who loves listening to English podcasts during her morning commute. Every day she listens to a podcast episode for 15 to 20 minutes. After she finishes the episode, she takes a few minutes to reflect on what she heard. She tries to summarize the main points in her own words, and then practices repeating some of the phrases she found difficult. By actively engaging with the content, Lily found that her listening comprehension improved significantly, and her pronunciation became much clearer. This approach can be extremely beneficial because it forces you to think about the language and pay attention to the details. Another excellent activity to include in your morning routine is shadowing. Shadowing is a technique where you listen to a speaker and try to mimic their speech exactly, right down to their pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. This technique is particularly useful because it trains your ear to recognize the subtle differences in how words are spoken in natural conversation, and it helps you build muscle memory for how to speak more fluidly. For example, Alex started shadowing as part of his morning routine. Every morning, after listening to a short news clip in English, he would immediately replay the clip and try to speak at the same time as the speaker. He focused on matching the speaker's tone and pace, and if there were any words he didn't understand, he would pause and look them up before continuing. With consistent practice, Alex's accent softened, and he became much more confident speaking in English. Shadowing can be done with any audio, whether it's a podcast, audiobook, or even a YouTube video. The key is to repeat and imitate the speaker as closely as possible. Another powerful method to improve your listening and speaking skills is role-playing. Role-playing involves acting out different situations that you might encounter in real life. This could include ordering food at a restaurant, asking for directions, or making a phone call. By practicing these scenarios, you get comfortable using English in everyday situations and can improve your conversational skills. Emma, for example, enjoys practicing role-playing in the morning with her husband. They choose a different scenario each day, such as pretending to be at a hotel reception or in a business meeting. They practice having a conversation in English, trying to use as many new words and phrases as they can. By doing this every morning, Emma's fluency increased, and she became more confident when speaking in real-life situations. You don't even need a partner for role-playing. You can do it by yourself too. Just pretend you're speaking with someone and respond to imaginary questions. Reading aloud is another fantastic practice to incorporate into your morning routine. This activity helps you improve your pronunciation and fluency, as well as your ability to speak clearly. When you read aloud, you focus on how words are pronounced and how they fit together in a sentence. This practice helps reinforce your knowledge of grammar, sentence structure, and vocabulary, all while improving your speaking confidence. James loves to read aloud every morning. He reads a few paragraphs from a book or article in English, making sure to speak clearly and with expression. At first, James found it a bit challenging, especially when encountering new words, but he persisted. Over time, he noticed that his pronunciation improved, and he became more comfortable speaking English without hesitation. If you want to practice reading aloud, try finding short stories, news articles, or even children's books that are appropriate for your level. The key is to practice regularly and focus on clear, slow pronunciation. Creating a language immersion environment in your home can also be an incredibly effective method. Surrounding yourself with English as much as possible is a powerful way to improve your listening and speaking skills. You can do this by changing the language settings on your phone, watching English videos on YouTube, or even listening to English radio stations while you go about your morning routine. The more you expose yourself to the language, the more you'll pick up on common expressions and idiomatic phrases used by native speakers. For instance, Robert turned his home into an English learning environment. He changed the language settings on all his devices to English, and he even started labeling different areas of his house in English. Every morning, he would watch a short TV video or listen to an English podcast while he prepared breakfast. At first, it was challenging, but over time, Robert began to understand English much better and started using new vocabulary in his daily conversations. Immersion doesn't mean you have to completely change your lifestyle. It can be as simple as listening to English content while doing your morning tasks. Let's also talk about the importance of visualizing your learning goals. This is a simple yet effective strategy to help keep you motivated. Every morning, take a moment to visualize yourself using English confidently in different situations. Imagine yourself having a conversation with a native speaker, watching a movie without subtitles, or reading an English book without needing to look up every word. Visualizing your success will not only boost your motivation, but will also help you stay focused on your goals. Sophia practices visualization every morning. Before she starts her day, she closes her eyes for a few minutes and imagines herself speaking fluent English. She imagines herself traveling and having conversations with people from different countries. This visual practice keeps her motivated and helps her stay positive about her language learning journey. Visualization can be a powerful tool when you feel discouraged or overwhelmed. It reminds you of why you're learning English and helps you stay focused on your goals. Another way to improve your English is by practicing listening for key details. When you're listening to something in English, try to focus on identifying the main points and key details rather than understanding every single word. This skill will help you become more efficient in listening to conversations and media. It's also helpful when you're watching English content like news reports, interviews, or even podcasts. Take David as an example. Every morning, he listens to an English news podcast. But instead of focusing on understanding every word, he listens for key facts, the main idea, and any important phrases. After he finishes listening, he summarizes what he learned in English. By practicing this, David improved his listening comprehension and was able to understand the main points in conversations and media much more quickly. Practicing listening. For key details is a great way to make sure you can understand the big picture of what's being said. Incorporating language exchange into your routine is another fantastic way to practice. Language exchange partners are people who are learning each other's languages. You can set up regular meetings with a language exchange partner where you practice speaking English while helping them with your native language. You can meet with your partner in person or online, and it's a great way to get practical speaking experience in a relaxed environment. Let's consider Jessica, who practices language exchange every morning with her partner, Daniel. They spend 15 minutes speaking in English, followed by 15 minutes speaking in Jessica's native language. Through consistent practice, Jessica noticed that her English became more fluent and she started using more natural expressions in conversation. This practice also helped her improve her listening, as she had to pay attention to how her partner spoke. By including language exchange into your routine, you'll get the opportunity to speak with native or fluent speakers, which will increase your exposure to different accents, speaking styles, and vocabulary. Finally, let's talk about setting small, achievable goals. When you start learning English, it can be overwhelming, but breaking down your goals into small, manageable tasks can make it easier to stay on track. Every morning, set one small goal, such as learning 5 new words, listening to a short podcast, or reading 1 page of a book. Over time, these small tasks will add up, and you'll start noticing significant improvements in your language skills. For example, Michael sets a small goal every morning to learn 5 new words in English. He writes them down in his notebook, along with their meanings and example sentences. After a week, he has learned 35 new words. By setting these small daily goals, Michael stayed motivated and kept track of his progress. This method is highly effective because it allows you to measure your improvement in a tangible way. Incorporating all of these activities into your morning routine will help you improve your English skills in a fun, engaging, and effective way. The key is consistency, so make these practices a daily habit. The more you practice every morning, the more fluent and confident you will become in English. Keep experimenting with these different strategies, and you'll soon see remarkable improvements in both your speaking and listening abilities. Let's start with journaling in English. Writing every morning is one of the best ways to enhance your language skills. By keeping a daily journal, you give yourself the opportunity to practice both your writing and thinking in English. The good news is that it doesn't need to be long or complex. Just a few sentences each day will do the trick. This activity will help you build vocabulary, practice sentence structure, and express your thoughts in English. It's a fantastic way to practice your writing while keeping track of your progress. Take Robert, for example. Every morning, he writes down a short entry in his journal. Sometimes he writes about his plans for the day, his thoughts on the weather, or even something new he learned from his English podcast. This small habit has helped him expand his vocabulary and improve his ability to form sentences in English. The key is to keep it simple and consistent. If you're just starting, you can write about basic topics like your favorite food or your routine, and gradually increase the complexity as you become more comfortable. Another helpful habit to adopt is mindful listening. Mindful listening involves focusing on the sounds and nuances of the English language without any distractions. Instead of just listening passively, try to pay attention to the details, the pronunciation, rhythm, and pauses. This technique will not only help with listening comprehension, but also improve your overall fluency in English. It helps train your brain to notice how English is spoken in real life. Imagine Emma, who listens to a 5-minute English audio clip every morning while sitting in a quiet spot. She focuses carefully on the speaker's tone, speed, and pronunciation. If she doesn't understand a word, she pauses the clip, looks it up, and then continues listening. This kind of focused listening helps her absorb language patterns and increase her ability to understand spoken English in real conversations. It's a simple yet effective method that anyone can incorporate into their routine. Let's talk about using flashcards to learn new words. Flashcards are a fantastic way to memorize vocabulary and improve recall. You can make physical flashcards or use a digital flashcard app. The idea is simple. On one side of the card, write the English word, and on the other side, write its meaning and an example sentence. Go through these cards every morning for just 10 minutes, and you'll notice your vocabulary improving quickly. For example, Sarah, who is learning English at an intermediate level, uses flashcards every morning. She makes a set of 10 cards each week, focusing on words that she finds difficult. As she reviews her flashcards daily, she becomes more confident using these words in sentences. Flashcards help reinforce your memory and allow you to build a strong vocabulary base. You can create a flashcard system for different topics, such as food, travel, or business terms, to expand your knowledge in specific areas. Another excellent morning practice is listening to interviews. Listening to interviews with native English speakers helps you learn how English is used in professional settings, as well as in everyday conversations. The advantage of interviews is that you hear people talking about real topics, such as their jobs, experiences, or opinions. These types of conversations often contain interesting vocabulary and expressions that can help improve your language skills. James, for instance, enjoys listening to English interviews with business professionals every morning. He finds that these interviews teach him both formal and informal ways of expressing ideas. James practices listening to the interviews while taking notes on key phrases, new vocabulary, and important ideas. Afterward, he tries to summarize the interview in English to practice speaking. This method helps him improve both his listening and speaking skills at the same time. Listening to interviews not only improves your understanding of the language, but also helps you learn new expressions used in professional and casual settings. Let's now discuss the idea of making a habit of English reading. Reading in English every morning, even for just 10 minutes, can do wonders for your language skills. Choose books, articles, or even online blogs that interest you. The goal is to expose yourself to new vocabulary, grammar structures, and ways of expressing ideas in English. Anna, for example, dedicates 15 minutes each morning to reading an article in English. She likes to read news articles as they keep her informed while also helping her practice her language skills. After reading, she tries to summarize the article in her own words and writes down any new words she learned. This simple habit has greatly improved her ability to understand different writing styles and also expanded her vocabulary. Reading is one of the most effective ways to improve not just your vocabulary, but also your overall understanding of English grammar. Another helpful activity is practicing conversation with a language partner. Having a conversation partner can give you the opportunity to practice speaking and listening skills. It's a great way to work on real-life conversations, where you can use English in natural settings. You can practice with a friend, family member, or even find a language partner online. For example, Chris has a language partner named Lucy. Every morning they spend 10 minutes talking in English about a topic of their choice. Sometimes they discuss their plans for the day, and other times they talk about current events. The key is to keep the conversation flowing naturally while practicing new vocabulary. Chris finds that having these short daily conversations with Lucy has helped him become much more comfortable speaking English. This practice is invaluable for improving fluency and listening comprehension. Let's explore creating English language labels around your house or workspace. This method is simple but highly effective. Label common items in your home or workplace with their English names. This way, every time you use something, you'll be reinforcing the English word for it. This technique is particularly helpful for beginners and intermediate learners who want to build their vocabulary. Mary started labeling objects around her house when she began learning English. She stuck labels on everything from her kitchen appliances to the furniture in her living room. Every time she used an item, she would read the label and try to recall the word in English. Over time, Mary found that she started using the English words automatically, even when she was talking to friends or family. This method is an easy and fun way to increase your vocabulary every day without much effort. Let's also talk about listening to English songs. Although we mentioned not focusing too much on movies and TV shows, English songs can be a great tool for improving listening and pronunciation. The rhythm, rhyme, and repetition in songs can help you become more familiar with common phrases, slang, and expressions. Just be sure to choose songs with clear lyrics and avoid overly fast or difficult songs, especially if you're at an intermediate level. Tom enjoys listening to English songs every morning while getting ready for work. He picks songs with clear and simple lyrics that he can easily follow. Tom writes down the lyrics as he listens and looks up any words he doesn't understand. Then he practices singing along with the song to improve his pronunciation. By doing this, he not only improves his listening but also starts recognizing important expressions that he can use in conversation. If you enjoy music, this method can make learning English fun and interactive. Now let's talk about the importance of breaking down longer audio into small sections. If you're listening to longer podcasts or audio clips, don't try to understand it all at once. Instead, break the audio into smaller sections. Focus on one section at a time and try to understand the main points before moving on to the next section. This approach makes it easier to digest the information, especially if you're practicing listening. For instance, David likes to listen to long English podcasts in the mornings, but he finds it challenging to keep up. To make it easier, he breaks the podcast into smaller parts. He listens to the first 10 minutes of the podcast, pauses, and takes notes on what he learned. Then, he listens to the next section and repeats the process. By breaking down the audio, David can focus on understanding smaller chunks of information, which helps him improve his comprehension and ability to remember new vocabulary. One last method that's incredibly effective is setting personal challenges. Every week, give yourself a challenge to complete. It could be learning 20 new words, watching an English movie without subtitles, or having a 15-minute conversation with a native speaker. Challenges help you stay motivated and give you something specific to work toward. Tracking your progress will also boost your confidence and remind you of how much you've accomplished. Anna sets a new challenge for herself every Monday morning. One week, her challenge was to learn 20 new vocabulary words, and the next week, she challenged herself to have a 15-minute conversation with a friend in English. She finds that having specific goals motivates her to keep improving. Setting personal challenges is a fun way to push yourself and make steady progress every day. Incorporating these habits into your morning routine will make learning English feel more natural and enjoyable. Remember, consistency is key. Keep practicing every day, and you'll see significant improvements in your speaking, listening, and writing skills. Enjoy the process, and don't be afraid to try new methods to keep your learning fresh and engaging. Let's continue exploring even more ways to improve your English every morning. Every small action counts, and the more diverse your learning routine, the faster you'll improve. By incorporating a variety of activities into your morning routine, you'll engage all areas of your language skills. This will help you gain a better understanding of the English language and give you the confidence to use it in everyday situations. Start your day by practicing speaking aloud. Many English learners feel shy or uncomfortable speaking at first, but speaking aloud is one of the most effective ways to improve fluency. It helps train your mouth and vocal cords to get used to the sounds and rhythm of the language. If you're worried about making mistakes, remember that everyone makes mistakes when they're learning. The important thing is to keep practicing. For example, Alex, an intermediate learner, practices speaking English aloud every morning while brushing his teeth. He talks to himself about his plans for the day, his goals, or even something as simple as describing the weather. He doesn't worry too much about being perfect. He just tries to get the words out. This habit has helped Alex become much more confident in speaking English in real conversations. The goal here isn't to be perfect, but to feel comfortable using the language. Let's explore reading out loud. Another great practice is to read English texts aloud. It could be a short story, a book, a news article, or anything else that interests you. The advantage of reading aloud is that it helps you practice your pronunciation, rhythm, and fluency. It also helps you internalize grammar and sentence structures, making them easier to use in your own speaking. Sophia has made it a habit to read out loud every morning. She picks a passage from an English book and reads it slowly, focusing on pronouncing each word clearly. Sometimes she records herself reading and listens back to check her pronunciation. Over time, this practice has helped Sophia develop a clearer, more confident speaking voice. Reading out loud is also a great way to familiarize yourself with new vocabulary and sentence structures. As you improve, try to increase the complexity of the texts you're reading out loud. Another useful practice is shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and repeat exactly what they say, trying to match their pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. This technique helps you improve your speaking fluency and pronunciation. Shadowing also teaches you how native speakers link words together and use connected speech, which can be challenging for many learners. For instance, Mark practices shadowing every morning by listening to short clips of English news broadcasts. He repeats every sentence out loud, trying to mimic the speaker's voice and rhythm as closely as possible. By doing this, Mark has improved his pronunciation and is able to sound more like a native speaker. Shadowing is a great way to practice speaking without feeling pressure to come up with your own words. Let's talk about creating mini English challenges. Sometimes it's hard to stay motivated, so setting mini challenges can help you stay on track. These challenges can be something small, like learning 5 new vocabulary words every morning, or trying to use a new phrase in a conversation that day. The key is to make the challenges specific and achievable, so you feel a sense of accomplishment. Lucy, an English learner, loves setting little challenges for herself every morning. One week, her goal was to learn 5 new words related to travel. And the next week, she focused on mastering phrases for ordering food in a restaurant. These small challenges help Lucy stay engaged with her English studies and keep things fun. Plus, she can see how much she's improving over time, which motivates her to keep going. If you're struggling with consistency, try making a list of challenges for the week to stay on track. Now let's talk about using English in your daily life. One of the best ways to improve your language skills is to integrate English into your daily life as much as possible. This could mean speaking in English with friends, ordering food in English at a restaurant, or reading signs and labels in English when you're out and about. The more you surround yourself with English, the more it becomes a natural part of your life. Take John, for example. He has made it a rule to speak English whenever possible. Even when he's not actively studying, he tries to incorporate English into his day. He speaks to his wife in English, reads English news websites, and listens to English podcasts during his commute. Over time, this has helped John become more comfortable with the language. By using English in real-life situations, John is able to reinforce what he's learned and practice speaking naturally. Let's dive into using English for daily tasks. This means that instead of completing your regular activities in your native language, try doing them in English. For example, when you're cooking, try to follow a recipe in English. If you're at the gym, listen to an English language podcast about fitness. If you're running errands, try to do it while listening to English songs or news. By doing simple, daily activities in English, you'll immerse yourself in the language and start thinking in English naturally. Emily has found this method really helpful. She cooks dinner while following English language recipes. While shopping, she makes a mental list of the items she needs, but she does it all in English. This has made Emily more familiar with English, words related to food, cooking, and daily routines. She even tries to use new vocabulary in conversations with friends or family. This habit helps her learn English in context, which makes it easier to remember. Another excellent activity to try is writing reviews in English. After you go to a restaurant, watch a movie, or buy a product online, take a few minutes to write a short review in English. This activity helps you practice writing in a clear and structured way, and it's a good opportunity to use new vocabulary or expressions that you've learned. Plus, it helps you learn how to organize your thoughts and ideas in English. For example, Daniel recently bought a new book and decided to write a review about it in English. He shared his opinion about the book's plot, characters, and writing style. As he wrote the review, Daniel made sure to use new vocabulary and structures that he had recently learned. Writing reviews like this has helped Daniel improve his writing skills and increase his vocabulary. It's a simple but effective way to practice writing in a real-life context. Next, let's discuss watching short English videos with subtitles. Watching videos with subtitles can help improve both your listening and reading skills. The subtitles allow you to follow along with the dialogue and learn how words are pronounced. Watching short videos in English every morning can also expose you to different accents and dialects, which is useful for understanding the language in different contexts. Rachel watches short English videos every morning, especially videos that are related to her interests, like cooking or fitness. She makes sure to turn on English subtitles so she can follow the words while listening. After watching the video, Rachel rewinds certain parts where she didn't understand the dialogue and listens again. This method helps her build listening skills and also learn new vocabulary and expressions. Watching videos with subtitles can be a great way to improve your comprehension, especially if you're a visual learner. Now let's focus on talking to yourself in English. While this might sound strange, talking to yourself in English can actually be a great way to improve your speaking skills. Try narrating your actions or describing what you see around you. You can also practice giving yourself advice or imagining a conversation with a friend. This habit helps you get more comfortable speaking in English, even when you don't have a conversation partner. James talks to himself in English every morning as he goes about his day. He describes what he's doing like, "Now I'm making coffee," or "I'm getting dressed for work." Talking to himself in English helps James practice forming sentences quickly and reinforces his language skills. He's even gotten into the habit of practicing questions and answers like, "What should I do today?" or "How can I make my English better?" It's a great way to keep your speaking skills sharp, especially when you don't have someone to talk to.